So let's the genesis of AI copilots and artificial intelligence and its impact in terms of marketing conversion on the website, as well as the performance of sales teams. Why there's so many challenges, and how I kind of came to the genesis of this. My career over the last 4 to 5 years has been involved in basically being engaged to come into companies that had reached some level of success, but were experiencing some significant challenges in terms of both the return on advertising spend as well as the performance of their sales teams. And this isn't an indictment in terms of people, it's the fact that the market is moving in such a way, particularly in B2B, and I want to stress that I focus specifically on the B2B sector in terms of one business selling and marketing to another. And so I was brought into a number of these companies, and going back 5 years ago, it was really about, and this is pre-COVID, it was about putting in accountability frameworks and making sure that you were getting 6.5 hours of productive sales time every single day. And what we learned through that is when we were tracking and having people be able to have this accountability framework, literally you could hire people, they could come in and they could work the system. And if they put in the day-to-day work and the productivity and did the things that they needed to do, they were almost ensured to be ramped in terms of their promotion and as well as their ability to meet quota for the organization. So then you kind of fast forward to COVID, right? And so now you have work from home, which it became a lot more difficult in terms of having that accountability framework to be able to help people to be able to put in the input that they need to in order to be successful. However, having that accountability framework, we were able to be very successful. In that instance, marketing only played a role about 15% of our total sales revenue generation on a given month. So it was a very direct selling kind of motion. And so a lot of my focus area and the team's focus area was more on the sales side and the sales productivity. Then you fast forward to work from home, COVID, and the digital side. The website became really the most important piece of any organization, because the website is where you're driving all of that traffic. The fast forward a couple of years, and what we started to see was that when you're trying to drive website traffic to convert to a meeting set, those costs were going up substantially, from about $400 an average meeting set to around $600. Secondarily, the challenge is that you have sales and then you have marketing. Marketing's driving for these specific metrics that they want to hit in order to get a return on their advertising spend. Things like collecting email addresses and meeting sets, etc. However, the challenge is while the costs are going up, and a lot of that's related to Facebook and some of the other media outlets, they don't really open up their markets to mid-market advertisers. They're really focused on the big advertisers that spend millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars with them, and they aren't really concerned with that advertising being directly tied to some sort of performance metric, a lead, a sale, etc. And so the website's becoming more important, costs are going up, performance is going down. And what I mean by performance, now you have the sales side of the house, which is saying, yes, we're getting meeting sets, and yes, we see that there's registrations on the sites that we can follow up with. But the challenge is that they're saying, hey, look, the quality of what we're getting is substantially lower. And really, as a CEO or any executive, you sit in these meetings with your investors. If you're fortunate enough to be private equity backed and or venture backed, you sit down with your board and your investors, your key stakeholders, and they keep saying to you, well, marketing's telling you how great everything's going, but the numbers are going down. Sales is saying that marketing's not producing the right quality in terms of the leads, and at the same point, marketing's saying that sales is not performing as well. And so really what you see is a combination of really the elimination of the silos between marketing and sales. And that's where we get to AI copilots, artificial intelligence copilots. So look, the genesis and how did we come to the point to where I believe, and I have a very strong belief that artificial intelligence, as it relates to conversational AI, is really the best way for an organization to not only be able to maximize the performance of the website in terms of turning it into a business hub, but at the same point also empowering sales teams with sales qualified leads. And when we talk about sales qualified leads, typically it comes from a marketing qualified lead into a sales qualified lead. Marketing qualified leads and sales qualified leads that get into the hands of salespeople, statistics say that about 26% of them are technically qualified, or at least that's the feedback. And that's supported by, basic Google research, etc. So I can substantiate a lot of that stuff. And so, what is the answer? So let's